Alright, here we have Tucker's Coop Concierge as it would come in a package. We have it laid out here so I can go through all the different parts. To the far left is the actual door itself. You see a wire going between it to the controller. Above the controller is another wire that would go to the solar panel. The wire coming out of the bottom actually goes to the battery backup that you stick in one of the nesting boxes. Below that is the LED 30-inch light bar. Next over is the GFI outlet that gets attached to the wall that you can power heat lamps or other power draws that you might have inside your coop. And all the way over to the right is the outside junction box. And I'll show you how this all goes together. Alrighty. Alright, so I have the Coop Concierge laid out in the chicken coop, and the first part you put in is the GFI outlet that you have to stick in through the wall to the outside. A 7/8 inch hole gets drilled just inside these two beams. The first thing you do to install the Coop Concierge is to push this through that hole. Alright, now back outside the coop, I've got the outside junction box with the extension cord. We pushed this wire in the previous video, pushed the conduit and wire through. Got to put a 9-degree bend on this wire and stick it through. Pulling all this wire through till where it gets into this junction. You want to pull it until you see the cover, push it in there as tight as you can, and then rotate it around, most likely twice. And you will push this back through, and with the 7/8 inch hole, the conduit just fits perfectly in there to make a nice seal. Have the conduit connected, you want to attach the junction box to the coop. I love my hammer drill. Alright, next job is to connect the wires. We have the wires coming in from the inside, connecting here to the outside. With the ground, you'll have 3 wires to connect. You'll need a wire nut that can handle, that I actually include, that can handle 3 14-gauge wires. You attach those. There's green to the 2 coppers, so all the ground's together. The 2 whites get connected together. That's with a wire nut that can handle 2 14-gauge. And then the blacks get connected together. Again, with a wire nut that can handle 2 14-gauge. It takes a little bit of effort to get your fingers to do what you want with respect to connecting wire nuts. But you'll get there. You twist them a little bit so they fit nicely in there. And then next we put the cover on. Putting the covers on, it's pretty easy. Just line it up. Make sure that the gasket lines up. Phillips head driver. Gently drive it in. Not too tight, but tight enough that the gasket squeezes. Make a watertight seal. Okay, so what we've completed is the outside junction with the extension cord. You can hardwire this, you can remove this wire and come in with conduit if you'd like. That's why there's a junction box on the outside, so you can choose how you want it connected. Alright, the next piece to install is actually the controller itself, which goes right tucked in nicely here. It's got to go up against the wall here, up against the beam, because there's going to be a proximity sensor put on the door so it knows when the door opens. So you just screw it. So right there. One more screw in up here. Okay, right, now we have the Coop controller fully installed. You can see coming back to the GFI, and then you can see where we had previously put this out through the wall. And you take the GFI, right, I usually put it right there. Now we're going to screw that in. 2 screws quick. try and make it nice and level so the customer's happy with how it looks. Okay. Alright, now that we've gotten the GFI outlet in place, we take a conduit bracket and we adhere this so that it's nice and straight. This is the only place that we have the power in conduit. It's the only place the chickens can access a cord that has 110 volts in it. Alright, so this is the chicken door area. Chicken door has to be packed out so that it's flat, so the door can be attached to a flat area. It must be flat, otherwise you can cock the door, torque the door so it won't open. So the door just gets set in place. You want to make sure it's centered. You want to make sure it's approximately level or plumb, which that is right about there. You take your driver and you drive in 4 screws right through the flange. Makes it very easy to install. And I'll just put 4 more in and we'll be done. Alright, so we have most of the major components installed. One of the last things to do is to straighten up the wires, and what we use are these cable stays, cable holders. So we take our wires, we organize them, and we put them nice and lined up where we want them, and we hammer these in. It's very easy to do. Hold it in place. Working our way along until we've gotten the wire nice and straight in place to where we want it. Putting them about every 18 inches. Alright, now that I've got most of the cables tacked into their final location, I have the light bar, which comes in a protective cover. Pull it out with that protective cover by removing these rubber stoppers and pulling out the light bar. And you can see that for this case, I've got the threaded end so the light bar goes this way. The light bar will be put right about here. Try and make it level and make sure it has a connection. So there's included brackets that get used, and you just screw them in like you screwed in the other conduit holders, just like that. So after we ran the cable for the solar panel up to the ceiling, put a slight slit through the insulation right at the peak, and then shoved the wire up through the peak so that it came out onto the roof, because of the ridge on the roof leaves a gap between the ribs of the metal roof. So that wire shoved through there, and you'll see it from the outside when we connect it to the solar panel. This gets attached to the solar panel. Black is positive, white is negative. Alright, so the solar panel works where we're going to screw through these 2 into the roof, and these 2 are going to go up underneath the eaves. So it only takes 2 screws to attach it. But the first thing you have to do is attach the wires. Red positive to black, because black is positive. This is the self-tapping screw that is used to drill through the metal roof and hold the solar panel in place. Alright, solar panel in place, centered on the roof, just 2 self-tapping screws. Alright, we've gotten to the time when it's to install the battery. If you come in and look, we're going to use the nesting box closest to the door where we've already run the wire down into. Now, as is typical for this nesting box, you'll see that it is the one that's typically chosen by the chickens, so there's a whole bunch of eggs in there. I need to clean that out. I'm going to block off that bay so that they can't use it, and we'll stick the battery in there. Making final connections on the battery. This comes in pre-installed, which is a surge protector, a fuse, in case something shorts in the battery connection. Really, it has more to do with in case someone puts the wires on backwards, it will burn that out first. We're just making this final connection. You see we clean the bay out. It's ready. Alright. That's it, buddy. We're just putting the final blocking in to block off the bay so that the chickens don't play with the battery. Just two 1-foot pieces of 1x6 is what I use. And you see now that's all cordoned off. We can close up and when you're done with the battery. So you can see here the first bay is closed in. Alright, next is to attach the proximity sensor. First is this piece of PVC. It's attached to the door right here, up against the front, up to the top. We'll put 2 screws in, and then after we do that, I'll show you how to attach the actual proximity sensor onto the panel. Attaching the proximity sensor comes with 2-sided tape already attached. Take off the cover there. This arrow is supposed to be down. We take that, we put it right to the edge. Right to the edge. Right there. Squeeze it on. Alright, now it's time to attach the front panel onto the control panel. Take the ribbon, and there's a slot in there, which let me show you. The slot on the edge. And you put the ribbon into that slot. If I can do it. There we go. Alright. Should be good. Now the next thing we have to do is attach the proximity sensor inside, which you can't do until you're done because it needs to line up with this. So the proximity sensor was just attached to wires will eventually get adhered to the inside of the controller. But what you got to do is you got to line it up to where the door proximity sensor lines up. And you open and close the door to make sure that they sense each other's location. And you can see that right here I'm getting that. So now I'll take the tape off. If I can get it. Come on. There we go. And again, I'll take this and I'll line it up. Before I permanently affix it, I want to make sure that it's lined up with the other sensor. Right about there. Alright, so now that's affixed. Now that that's done, we can actually take the panel up. And the lamp should work. Lamp works. Open the door, lamp goes on. 4 screws into this panel, and we'll be done. Now the system is fully installed and the door is open, I can come in and I can push close. At what time the door will close. It goes down. Now that it's closed, if I wanted to manually override and go to open, I just push open. Now, once it's open or once it's closed, the program will go back into normal, where it'll open or close based off the normal program after that. This is my friend, the rooster. This rooster is not liked by the other rooster, so he has to jump out every morning, and every night I have to go catch him, because otherwise the fox will catch him.